The introduction to the game was really fun and engaging. I enjoyed playing through the Herta space station and pretty much everything on Belobog, especially Cocolia. It had good design, action, pacing, the story wasn't too simple but still easy to follow. There was a good balance of puzzles, battles and story all woven together well to make the storytelling experience really enjoyable with a fantastic soundtrack and an amazing finale with the Cocolia fight. And then we get to Zhangzhou Luofu. No one really likes that area, just wait until you get to Penok. Shh. Zhangzhou Luofu wasn't the worst. Definitely a step down from the massive high that we got after the end of Belobog, but on the whole I don't actually mind Zhangzhou Luofu. It was an interesting world with a completely different vibe, the music was good, the puzzles were fun and interesting, and we got new lore. The thing that really dragged it down, in my opinion, was the unnecessary jargon for relatively simple concepts.
I'm here to witness the divination of the Matrix of Prescience.
You're here to read her mind and get some information out of her. I'm here to witness the divination of the Matrix of Prescience. Just speak fucking English, goddammit. But whatever, like I said, putting aside the random jargon and exposition, it wasn't the worst area I've ever been to. Oh no, that crown undeniably goes to Penacony. You literally cannot do a single thing for the first hour and a half where you get to that one battle which takes about a minute to clear, and after that you're right back to yapping for another 48 minutes with literally nothing to do but run around with Firefly doing real important stuff like roulette, ice cream, and bubble pinball, I guess. Oh, got another battle. That's another 1 minute of something, I guess, against a fucking trash can. I actually timed how much turn-based action RPG we got in this turn-based action RPG game. So 2.0 takes about 5.5 hours to complete, right? Keep in mind this is about the same amount of time it took for us to complete the entirety of Belobog. And this is just the introduction to Penacony. So yeah, 5.5 hours, and of that you spend a grand total of 9 minutes, 24 seconds actually doing that. I did the math. That is literally 2.85% of the time doing the thing you came to this game to do. Oh, so it's not good if you're not constantly fighting? Is that what you're trying to say? No, not at all. I don't need it to be 100% fighting all the time. Hell, I don't even need it to be 50%. But less than 3% is not nearly enough. I didn't hate everything though. There's the interactive section with Firefly. That was alright. Took about 15 minutes though. Then there's the time that we're in the dreamscape. This is the only area in Penacony that I actually enjoyed. This is what we were promised in the beginning with that whole scene with Akron. And when we were there, I immediately felt a major shift in tone and storytelling that was completely absent so far. Okay. Right, I'm guessing this is where the story gets good. At least I'm hoping. Too bad we were only there for about 45 minutes, max. Most of the time, you can't really do anything but go to the next dialogue location and sit around watching people yap. How much yap, you ask? Again, I timed it. 3 hours, 49 minutes, and 36 fucking agonizing seconds of yap. Out of 5 hours and 17 minutes of story, might I remind you. And at the end, the big twist, the big reveal is that Robin is dead.
Oh no. I know.
Oh, you mean the girl that only had 3 minutes and 43 seconds of screen time this entire quest? That girl? We were supposed to care that she died? Her own song has a longer lifespan than she does. Seriously, why was I supposed to care? Then on to 2.1 when we continue on with Trailblazer's story. Right? Wrong. The quest is just less than 6 hours long, and 4.5 hours of that is nothing but pure fucking yap. There was a total of about 24 minutes worth of fighting. 13.5 minutes of those weren't necessary to the story at all. 45 seconds were necessary to the story, and the last 11 minutes were the fight against Aventurine. You spent more time staring at static images listening to people talk about deep politics and very important theological stuff you have no idea about. Also, another hot take here, but I thought the main story quest was supposed to, you know, follow the main character. The majority of 2.1 was from the perspective of someone that I could literally not give two flying fucks about. Aventurine. Oh my god. In 2.0, he was on stream for a total of like, say, 30 minutes. Most of the time, he was being a dick. And in 2.1, you're supposed to spend most of the time in his point of view, following his story, talking about things that we don't know, doing things we don't care about, talking to NPCs we're going to forget about. Why was this in the main story quest? I literally could not have cared less about Aventurine when going through this, and I was slowly hating him more and more the longer I was forced to play as this golden-haired fuckboy with freshly shaved testicles on his chest. Well, it's supposed to set up his motivations for the final battle and, yeah, and character story quests exist exactly for this reason. What they should have done is saved all of that for a quest that we have to do after we, Trailblazer, go through our own story. Go through that, make Aventurine seem like the villain, have the big fight with Aventurine, yada yada yada. Then we have a character story quest unlocked where we flash back to go through all of Aventurine's stuff. That would recontextualize how we see him as a character and put everything in a new light. If you are familiar with Harry Potter, you'll understand what I mean. We go through that story thinking Snape is a bad guy out to get Harry. It's not until far into the later books that we get his backstory, and it completely changes how we see him as a character and his actions in the story so far. If we had known that backstory before all of this, it would have ruined many narratives and plot twists. Now back to Honkai Star Rail. So putting aside all the Aventurine stuff, we spent about 2.5 hours as Trailblazer, and what we were doing? going from one location to another to stand around talking. Most of the dialogue is basically recapping what we just went through in 2.0. That is until the bar sequence. Quick question. What was the fucking point of that bar sequence? Did I miss something? Like, Shaban is hot and all, don't get me wrong. But on the whole, the entire thing had nothing to do with the story at large, right? Seriously, what was the point? Just to set up that drink mixing minigame? Okay. Why is it in the main story quest though? It makes no sense at all. However, listen, I get that you want to make this game a more cinematic experience. Cool. I like movies. But to do that, you've got to learn a thing or two about, you know, cinema. Having people stand around talking for several minutes at a time with no changes in angle, character focus, zero character movement, or anything like that is just not interesting at all. And that's when they're trying. Like I mentioned before, there were way too many static shots or just straight up black screens in this patch. And here's the golden rule for cinematic storytelling, Hoyoverse. Show, don't tell. In fact, there were a total of 35 minutes and 54 seconds of scenes with static images, whereas a grand total of 24 minutes, 7 seconds actually in battle. At this point, Honkai Star Rail is the equivalent of Love and Deep Space, a visual novel with minor gameplay aspects. Which is fine for lads because that's what they marketed themselves as. Can't say the same with Honkai Star Rail though. And this tell don't show style storytelling, using that word very loosely, continued into 2.2 as well. I think you can tell what I'm going to say about this patch too. Too much yap, not enough gameplay. At all. Not a single battle for 3 whole hours. And that one only lasted a couple of minutes too. In fact, there was one whole 15-minute section of nothing but black screens and 2 static images. 15 fucking minutes. Jesus Christ. Imagine watching an episode of your favorite anime and it was just literally 1 or 2 pictures for the entire runtime. But at this point, I knew what I was kind of getting myself into, so let's just take it for what it is. Maybe I'll enjoy it more that way. Nope. But it's not as bad as Genshin. At least you don't have to listen to Paimon. Who needs Paimon? They do the exact same thing in Honkai Star Rail too. Repetitious, redundant dialogue talking about things we just did or things we don't care about. Sure, maybe it's not as annoying as Paimon's high-pitched screeching. But why is Sunday telling us about how Robin got shot in the neck? Again, too much tell, not enough show. Why aren't we seeing it? It's not that hard. But no, we get Sunday yapping about it for several minutes, speaking in such a monotone drawl that I almost fell asleep.
Now you understand why she always wears such elaborate neck ornaments, don't you?
This was supposed to be his biggest motivating factor. This is why he was drawn to Order, and he talks with such apathy about the whole entire thing. His entire story is about him wanting to protect his sister, to keep her in a cage for her own protection, and she wants to be free despite the danger that might come to her. I'll give this to 2.2 though. It did start to explore interesting philosophical concepts with this plotline. They kept bringing up the question of is it better to be in a cage completely protected from harm, or is it better to be free even though you may get hurt? The whole thing between Robin and Sunday is that their relationship is much like the bird in the cage flashback that was just brought up, and it was genuinely interesting. Well, it was the first time we heard it, but the amount of times they bring it up and not do anything with that concept until the very end just got annoying. I wasn't the only one that noticed this either. Even now there are people making Chamini Dove memes. I could go on about all the other things like how nobody seems to speak like a regular human being.
Still unwilling to reveal your true identity?
It's not that I don't want to. It's just that I can't. I've come so far, and I can't sum up all of that in just a few words.
Not to mention that a lot of the dialogue sounds like it's written by an edgy 13-year-old trying to be deep. Why does life slumber? You're fucking kidding me with that line, are you? What the fuck does that even mean? People think that's deep. Yeah, okay, whatever. And other issues that aren't really Honkai Star Rail specific, like the single choice dialogue options or the illusion of choice, where you have like several options but they all say practically the same thing and leads to no changes at all in the dialogue tree. Like, what is the point? But at this point, I think I'd be kicking a dead horse. On the whole, I think the gameplay and story in Honkai Star Rail is good. What do you mean it's good? You've just been ranting about it this whole time. Now, listen to what I'm saying. The gameplay is good. The story is good. The storytelling is absolute horseshit. The people who think Honkai Star Rail is good are those who jumped on Honkai Star Rail from day one. They've been playing it every day, piecemeal, and they haven't noticed the gradual decrease in quality, like a frog in boiling water. If a frog is put in boiling water, it will immediately jump out, but if the frog is in cold water and you slowly increase the temperature, it won't notice the danger and it will be cooked to death. You're cooked. You are quite literally cooked right now. Even though I enjoy story-focused turn-based action RPGs, and I do, my favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy VIII, followed closely by Final Fantasy X, I just can't bring myself to drudge through dogshit storytelling like in Honkai Star Rail anymore. Even if I like the gameplay, as basic as it is, it's not worth it if it's only 5% of the game as a whole. No, wait, sorry, 3%. Almost gave it too much credit there. Fun but scarce gameplay, interesting core story ruined by terrible writing. Seriously, does anybody talk like a regular human? Just one. I just need one person, please. Atrocious exposition, repetition, jargon, and a lot left unexplained, leaving players feeling unsatisfied. This is what 90% of Honkai Star Rail is right now. And even if the rest of the 10% is all good, all great even, 90% is still the vast majority. I'm not going to say you're stupid for liking Honkai Star Rail. Everyone likes different things. And these are just the reasons why it doesn't suit my particular taste. It's nothing to do with me not liking story. I do. It's not me not liking turn-based action RPGs. I do. It's just I don't feel like this game respects my time as a player. If they cut out all of the fat and all the redundancy and all this just absolute yap and bloat, I think I'd really enjoy it, but it doesn't. Well, not yet anyway. I haven't even done like a 2.6 and I'm already hearing like all the banana memes, so whatever.